Before laying down the new vinyl, I pulled off the trimmer on the base, and I was able to take it off without damaging it, so it'll go back on. I covered the air vent and the toilet drain so stuff wouldn't fall into them, and I pulled the transition at the door. Now we're replacing the toilet, so that came out, but I would have pulled it anyway. Lots of people suggest cutting around an existing toilet. To me, one slip of the knife can ruin the project, and it requires cutting on curves all the way around, including the back. Generally, it's not that hard to remove and put back. Empty it, disconnect the water supply, maybe take the tank off the base, pull the 2 bolts off the floor, and find a safe place to store it. Now when it goes back, it's a good idea to replace that wax seal. Here I simply find the 2 bolts that are sticking out of the floor, cut around them, and gradually go round and round and round until I've got the space opened up. Next, I lay tape on one side around the perimeter and the toilet. Now the key here is clean. I cleaned the floor before laying the tape, and I cleaned it several times. Any little bit of debris left there will be a bump in your new floor, so clean it like you're doing surgery on it. Once it was all done and clean, I pulled the other side of the tape up on the first area I was doing, and I broke this up into smaller parts. That in the tub, frankly, was a handy trash can. But I left the toilet area for a separate phase because it's a little more complicated. And rolling it out flat is super important as you press it in place. As you roll it out, make sure you're keeping it flat and also square to your corners and all the way up against the edges. Now that little bit of excess that was left on there to cut off later is your friend, and your trim boards are your friend too in case you cut just a little bit of short somewhere. The one place to be super careful about is along the tub because there's no trim board there, there's no place to hide. It's very obvious. So when you're squaring things up, that's the one thing that has to be just right away. With the toilet area, it's basically just a repeat. Make sure the area is clean, pull the tape backer off, and then lay that down and press it down. And be very careful that it's pressed down really well around the toilet tank because the toilet's going to go on top of that. It'll kind of do the job for you. But make sure your corners are square and that'll look good. And then the third area is in front of the vanity. Now this is a little secret weapon I have. It's a felt block. It's hard enough to put pressure on the top of the tape to get it to bottom to stick down really well and soft enough not to tear everything. Now I doubt everybody's got one of those in their toolbox, but it's actually a surprisingly handy little tool, especially if you're doing fine sanding and woodwork. And here it's repeat again with a twist. I've got to get underneath that door trim, because again, I don't like cutting around things, so I had to get underneath it. And to do that, I actually had to use a saw and cut off just a little bit of it here. And that's a pretty good saw, the Stanley saw. And it didn't matter if I get a couple scratches on that old floor, but it worked really well. And then it was a matter of tucking that vinyl up underneath. Working that under there did take a little bit of patience and time, but to me, the long-term benefit of having it go all the way underneath there was a whole lot cleaner look, and I didn't have to worry about doing a miscut. So patience is a virtue. Of course, this was the highest traffic area, so I put a little bit of extra effort into making sure everything was down and flat and ready to go. Okay, besides what I filmed, I also cut a hole for the air vent, just like I did the toilet drain. Replaced the trim, put that back, turned out fine. Replaced the transition at the door, transition to the carpet. And we have an updated bathroom. Of course, well, we did a little more than that. We also painted, put in a new sink top, and replaced a whole bunch of hardware. And frankly, it looks a whole lot nicer.